Welcome to another VeVe Digital Collectibles Breakdown video. I'm Corey with VeVe, and today I'm exceptionally excited to share with you an interview that I recently conducted with Gary Baseman around his Memento Moa series that'll be releasing on the platform. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and the whole VeVe family. I know you just jumped on a plane with your whole team and went to New Zealand, so I'm sure you are experiencing some time zone differences. Before we really get into the meat of this series that's releasing in your exhibition itself, your physical exhibition there in New Zealand, can you take a few minutes and just introduce yourself to any of our new collectors and users on the platform?
Hi, VeVe family. My name is Gary Baseman, and I'm an artist from Los Angeles, California. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Bob Clampett, who created Beanie and Cecil. I drove by Hanna-Barbera Studios every weekend. I went to Disneyland once a year, and even Stan Lee of Marvel and Sergio Aragones of Mad Magazine gave me an award in high school. I've always wanted to be an artist. I got my big break when I was 26. For the New York Times book review, I did the cover, and from there, I moved to New York, started doing work for Time Magazine, The Atlantic Monthly, Rolling Stone. I started developing TV, and I created an animated TV series for Disney, ABC, called Teacher's Pet, that ran 3 seasons and a feature film version. And I also created the characters for the board game Cranium. I started painting, and my first big show was called Dumb Luck, where I created an iconic rabbit holding his lucky rabbit's foot at the expense of a peg leg. And from there, I started having more exhibitions. In 2005, I had For the Love of Toby, where I wanted to blur the lines between fine art and toy culture. So I created this character Toby, who is the keeper of your secrets and loved you unconditionally. And most recently, I had an exhibition called 9 Lives that celebrates the life and teachings of my very best friend, Blackie the cat. And now I'm here in New Zealand for a very special personal exhibition, very emotional, where I'm created this character, Memento Moa, and the title of this exhibition is Memento Moa.
Thanks so much for that glimpse into your history, Gary. And for those of you meeting him for the very first time, I'm going to pop up on screen right now his Instagram. Gary, your Instagram is probably one of the most interesting glimpses into an artist I've ever seen. Amongst many aspects of your life, you often share pages from your sketchbooks, and many of your characters pop up in those pages, including Toby, who many of the VeVe fam have grown to love. It's as if you're constantly imagining these characters into the world around you. How many sketchbooks are there now, Gary, and how does that process inform your art itself?
Well, I pretty much am known for my sketchbooks, because I carry them everywhere I go. This is sketchbook number 155 in my lifetime. So wherever I go, I kind of bring the book, it keeps me company, and at the same time, it's my souvenir. So wherever I go, I try to capture the culture, the landscape, the food, the people, all in the book itself.
An interesting thing to think about as the world starts to transition from 2D to 3D into metaversal spaces is that now artists like yourself have the creative ability to create complex worlds that your fans can actually just walk around in. Where's your head at with all of that, Gary?
So working with VeVe, the digital world is the next frontier. Again, I've always been excited to experiment with new mediums. And for me, when I created the plush version of Toby, I carried him around the world. I have close to 100,000 photos. I'm taking photos with him from Tasmanian devils in Australia. He's been with rhinos in South Africa. He's been in Vladivostok, Russia. He's been in China at the Great Wall. And then when I started creating a digital version of Toby, I love the AR function. So now anyone who collected Toby can take a digital photo of Toby anywhere around the world. So with the invitation of VeVe to create a digital Baseman universe, kind of blows my mind. I imagine my Blackie the cat in this digital world with his own sketchbook, running around, sitting at digital pubs or digital places, just creating new digital drawings in his sketchbook. And even Memento Moa, I imagine, even though he's an extinct flightless bird in the real world, in the digital world, he could be flying, laying golden eggs, giving birth to hybrid beast, bird characters that can go off on adventures.
Bringing us back to the physical world, you and your team are currently in New Zealand for your physical exhibition, Memento Moa. Outside of hanging out with David and Dan, and put in a good word for me, by the way, can you give us a glimpse into what this exhibition is all about and why New Zealand?
So Memento Moa is actually a perfect springboard for the new Baseman digital world. In these paintings, I wanted to create these large canvases of landscapes that were very raw, very handmade, these kind of prehistoric forests of New Zealand, but juxtaposed with my upbringing and childhood in Hollywood. The show is very bittersweet, and the main character in this exhibition is Manny Moa. So like the For the Love of Toby exhibition, this is my first exhibition that I'm also introducing a plush character. So Manny was created as a visual metaphor for those that are now lost, that we loved, and we want to remember them. Moa birds are extinct, but they lived for hundreds of years in New Zealand, and they're no more. So with a Manny Moa, they come with a mourning locket. I invite people who collect Manny Moa to put a picture of a loved one that is now gone as a way to remember them. And the person who I'm honoring is my favorite cousin, Beverly, who I grew up with in the Fairfax district in LA. She was the coolest. We lived a block away from each other. When she got older, she started traveling and she visited New Zealand. She fell in love, had a child, and I wished I always would visit her in her new home, but I was such a workaholic, I never made it out there. Eventually, she was diagnosed with cancer and passed away, and I always felt this kind of grief and regret for never visiting her. But with this exhibition, Memento Moa is my way to celebrate her life.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Gary. You really have created just a beautiful tribute to your cousin. And now that we know a little bit more about you and this exhibition, let's take a closer look at the drop that is releasing on the platform. And again, lucky for me, I don't have to guess about the artist's intention because Gary here will be able to give us those deeper insights. Gary Baseman's Memento Moa series will release on the platform on Friday, March 24th at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, with a retail price of 60 gems. Uniquely, at the time of this release on VeVe, these pieces will be featured physically in Gary's exhibit in New Zealand. First, at Ultra Rare, we have Wings of Desire, winning 666 editions. I recognize a few of the characters depicted on this one. Gary, can you walk us through it?
Well, I love the painting Wings of Desire. So I wanted a big 4x6 foot painting, and I wanted to create a city of moas. These moa birds that are now extinct, I wanted the surreal version of these moas living a full life. And I wanted to create these hybrid moas. So I picked somebody like Alfred Hitchcock, who's my favorite director, as a moa bird. Frida Kahlo as a moa. David Bowie, John Lennon, Andy Warhol, moas. And then I also wanted to take my characters like Toby, Venison, Shoo Shoo, and even Buster from my Coach collection, all as moas. And originally, the title of this painting was Moa Birds Can't Get to Heaven, because they're flightless birds. But in here, they're flying up to the sky, and I have Blackie the cat moa flying up, and my cousin Beverly.
Next, also at Ultra Rare, and also minting 666 editions, Gary presents Morning Glory. An interesting and slightly ominous twist on the titling for this one. What does it mean, Gary, and what is the story?
With Morning Glory, I wanted to challenge myself and create this kind of very lush, prehistoric, tropical forest. I have a tearful moa with a Victorian woman mourning his loss, even though he's there. I have forget-me-not flowers growing out of him. I have many flightless birds in this painting, from the wicca, the kiwi, to the cockapoo. I have my cat Bosco as Max. He's very playful, from Where the Wild Things Are. I even have a nod to Dr. Seuss with Thing 1, but Thing 9, not Thing 2. And this painting is really an homage to Henry Rousseau.
And an extra something for you fans and lovers of Gary's work. Forever will be airdropped on Friday, April 17th to everyone who is holding both artworks from this series when the snapshot is taken on March 31st. This is the last of the Moa birds mounted to a tree for all to see.
So Forever, that particular image really spoke to me. I painted it on my sketchbook cover so I could carry it around. It's a wild girl paying respects to a taxidermied moa head, but he's mounted not on a library or a room, but on a tree in the middle of the forest. And he's actually still alive. And the word on the mount is the word forever. I'm pretty sentimental, and this exhibition is very bittersweet. But for me, the whole idea of Memento Moa is that even though we have those that we loved that are lost, how do we remember them to create a better and more beautiful future for everyone.
With that, we've covered all the drops landing in the Memento Moa series. A massive thank you to Gary and his whole team for helping make this interview possible. This was all virtual because he's currently in New Zealand at his exhibition. Any last words you'd like to share with everyone, Gary?
Thanks, Corey. I'm ready to take a break after spending so much time painting for this exhibition. So I'm looking forward to exploring more of beautiful New Zealand, visiting David and Dan up north. And I'm excited about people collecting these digital works of these physical paintings. And if anyone's interested, we have a few of the Memento Moas that you can find on my website. And hopefully we'll find digital versions in the future.
And with that, that's a wrap for this breakdown video. Best of luck if you do decide to go for this one. An additional thanks to Gary's cousin, Mike, who filmed all of his portions of this interview from New Zealand and got it all the way over to us via the miracle of the internet. As for me, I've got more videos to make and things to research. Until the next one, keep learning, sharing, and collecting the things that you love. This is Corey with VeVe, signing off.